Hey everyone, welcome to the MotoAlliance podcast. I'm Peter Kapsner, and I'm here in studio with General Manager of MotoAlliance, Kevin Book. Kevin, good to have you here again.
Thank you.
Love it. And with Alicia, who is our fearless digital content producer. Alicia, great to have you in studio as well.
Hey, great to be here.
Really excited. We've been chatting with our guest today from the Minnesota ATV riding community and the Facebook group Minnesota ATV Riders. It's Ben Mooers. And Ben, first of all, welcome to the MotoAlliance podcast. But second of all, you're saying that you're sort of emerging from some sort of winter-driven cocoon and into the ATV riding community. But prior to this, what have you been doing all winter?
So, and thank you for having me. I really appreciate it, you guys. It's pretty awesome.
We love having you.
Any chance I get a chance to talk to you guys, I'm pretty stoked. So, I'm emerging from my winter wargaming cocoon where I build and paint like these miniature armies. It's like this Warhammer 40,000 like miniature war game. Like I disappear, and that's pretty much all I do. And now I am, getting ready to get on the ATV. It's like the sun has come out, the trails are opening. I put the wargaming stuff away, and I'm totally stoked now to hop onto the ATV. And come October, when it's late September, October, November, I'll just kind of go back into that little cocoon. So I'm excited. We're getting into the riding season. It's time to get sunny and muddy.
Okay, I just have to ask because you sent me some of these pictures, and
You actually have pictures of this Warhammer deal?
Yes.
No way, really?
I want to know one of these figures. Just tell me how long it would take you to paint one. On
Yes,
average.
it's a great question.
So if I'm painting like hero style figures, if I'm painting like a leader, something like that, I can spend up to, my paint sessions are usually I'll sit down for an hour, 90 minutes before I go to bed. So I can spend up to 8 or 9 days, on a hero level figure. So we're talking maybe anywhere between 10 and 15 hours. But then if I'm painting troops, I'm painting 5 at a time, and it can take me, I'm looking at maybe 2.5 hours per figure.
Amazing.
Kevin, can I see these pictures?
I forwarded them.
Oh, you just forwarded? Okay. Because do you think, Ben, if you just buried these in a time capsule and somebody dug them up 1,000 years from now, they would be a multi-bazillionaire based on just the craftsmanship that you're putting together here?
No, somebody would say this idiot's got way too much time on his hands.
I love it. Oh, well, it's fun to hear that you're emerging back into the ATV world. I'm sure friends like Dean Schliek, who is the lead of the Minnesota ATV riding community and is joining us as well this afternoon, is probably going to be pretty happy to see you. Dean, are you on the air with us?
I am. Welcome.
Yeah, it's great to have you. Great to hear your voice. Ben is saying he's just coming out of his cocoon, and he may threaten to see you sometime soon and start hitting the trails again.
Yeah, for sure. It's getting to be that time, and we got a lot to catch up on. We've all been cooped up all winter long, and we haven't got to spend much time together. So excited.
Ben, so have you been out riding yet, or are you just getting the machines ready to ride at this point?
Well, so I got to tell you, I was going to take this company that I know. I got this sweet Denali plow set up this year.
Oh, you're shameless plugging MotoAlliance. I love it. Yeah, tell me more about Denali, because I've heard they're great plows, just great plows.
Yeah, they're pretty good. So I still have it on my machine, and my plan for this weekend is to actually pull it off my machine and get out and do a little riding. So I have, the only riding I've done this season is pushing around some snow with the best plow in the industry.
Now we're talking. I love it. Well, that's great. And Dean, have you come out of you don't really go into a winter cocoon like Ben, right? I mean, you're still kind of out messing around out in the elements.
Oh yeah, all the time. I also utilize the industry's best Denali plow, and with the record snowfall, I definitely put in work this winter. But we did a few little small winter trail rides, but we got so much snow that a lot of our normal winter riding spots were buried, so you couldn't get out too much. But there's always the back roads, the country roads, and just getting out and checking out the winter riding. That's what it's all about.
So I think we probably could go to like a Denali plow hour or something like that and just reflect on what the season has been and how our Denalis have been working for us. But I'm just curious to know what is happening most immediately here when it comes to the riding community in Minnesota. What are you guys preparing for? What events are coming up here immediately that you're excited about?
So we got a big one coming up here in like 2 weeks. I think the 20th is kind of our official kickoff ride up in Isle, Minnesota, just south of Mille Lacs. We're gonna go ride the Red Top Loops. It's kind of the kickoff to the season where we get together with a whole bunch of people. There'll probably be about 250 to 300 machines, and we'll go out and check out the trails and do a couple different group rides, and then come back for some barbecue.
And has this been a pretty standard rhythm here for you annually that you kick off the season with this ride?
I would say so.
Oh yeah, always.
Yeah.
And how long have you guys been? I mean, how many years now running have you guys been a part of this ride?
5 or 6.
I think, this will probably be our fifth year. It's with the state association, so those guys put on a pretty good show, and they feed us well. You know what I mean? What's not to like about four-wheeling and food?
Well, and Ben, the last time I talked to Dean, he was talking all things pig roast. And have you been part of this pig roast? Is this part of the food that Dean is referencing here?
Yeah, I mean, they do. It is like a roast. So yeah, I mean, the barbecue, I got to say, the barbecue is pretty good. And like Dean said, I mean, four-wheeling and food, like, it's awesome. Doesn't get any better than that.
I love it. Well, so Ben, one of our favorite days that we've had at MotoAlliance this last year, and Kevin, I think this was pretty early. You just came on board to be the general manager in January, right? When these guys showed up, when Ben and Dean came down to MotoAlliance?
Yeah, so mid-January was my start, and they came in the week before my start. So I showed up just to...
You weren't even officially hired when they came in.
Right.
And I think, Ben, one of my very favorite moments was watching you kid in a candy store with some of our engineers and had the Polaris Sportsman. And we're starting to think through some designs and what we could do related to cargo space, because cargo space is new for us. I think people know by now that we acquired Gemco products and we've been building out the cargo space line. Most recent entrant has been the Polaris General Box, but you said that there really aren't great solutions for the Polaris Sportsman. I mean, there's definitely boxes. Sometimes they're just a little overpriced maybe, or sometimes you can't store a helmet. But you had some ideas about the Sportsman. Just tell us about that day when you came down.
Yeah, no, I was really excited. So I had been, I got my machine, and one of the first things I always do is I'm always like, you got to have storage for your machines. Like, it's literally, I think one of the first things people do is like, okay, where I'm going to put my stuff. Now I just bought this machine. Where am I going to put my stuff? And so I did a lot of research, and I just couldn't find anything out there. And so I was talking with Dean. I was like, let's design something. I have an idea. I have a mount, and after he had spent some time talking to you, it was like he said, let's go talk to the guys at MotoAlliance. I think they might have a solution for this. And you had just started working with the storage and the boxes, and so we came down, and it was basically just like giving you, and Kevin is like, he hasn't even started yet, and here we are just giving him both barrels. I mean, we're just talking and just running these ideas, and then there was kind of this wish list stuff of like, boy, we could do this or we could do that. And so, we went over we met with your design team, and then like the la creme de la creme, it was just kind of like, he was like, oh, does your seat come off? Because, there's these 2-up machines, right? The Polaris got the 2-up machines. And so you pull the seat off the Sportsman, either the 850 or the 1000, and there's this big void space there. And I was like, it'd be awesome is a box that goes right here, like a day box. Because then if I'm out alone, I don't have to have, I don't have to be driving around with this seat on the back of my machine. I can actually just have this, type of machine. And so he's like, yes. And I'm like, yeah, there's nothing for this right now. There's people like fill that hole with plywood, and it was an amazing conversation. And we just really got to spend the time with you. And it was just, Dean, how long were you there? A couple hours?
Yeah, oh yeah, and time flies when you're having fun, right?
That's right.
Right. And then we talked about the time that we got to spend with you guys, like the entire way back from the cities up north, So, I mean, that was just like a really amazing day. Like it was a lot of fun. So really creative stuff. So it was excellent.
Well, and it was such a fun day. And one of my favorite things about being a part of a company like this, Ben, is that you have this idea or this concept and it's really just in your brain at this point. And then it feels like engineers just do magic. I don't entirely understand how they can translate ideas into actual images within their SolidWorks software that then leads us to start working within our supply chain to build out the idea that just came from your mind. And I think, Kevin, we have probably a fairly relevant update about the new Sportsman box. We have rebranded Gemco as Highlands, so we have a whole lot of Highlands cargo boxes now. But what's the most recent update that we have on the Sportsman box?
Well, we got the partner that we work with in Wisconsin who does the manufacturing of our boxes has received the tooling for a few of the up and coming boxes that we've got coming out, and one of those is the Sportsman 850. So they have the tool. So we will be prototyping that now. So Ben and Dean were both involved in fitting the styrofoam mold that we have as a part of our R&D process.
Yep.
And so once we were able to confirm fit on that, then we pulled the trigger to have the tooling done. So that's done. And now we are going to be seeing a prototype here in the coming weeks. And then we'll have, that's going to be definitely much more of a permanent change that we'll see to the process. Once we can confirm that that's ready to go, then we'll be able to pull trigger on production. So we are very close.
Yeah, Ben, we expect that you would have your box in your hand by probably the first part to maybe middle of June. I wouldn't think it'd be later at this point. And
that's just amazing, you guys. Thank you. It's just really, really cool.
Yeah, and we have the secondary design where the seat comes out too. We're just in the process of finishing up that part of it too. So it's gonna be, you'll have to come back down and we'll outfit the machine, get some photos, like the whole thing, because your design ideas were just spot on. I think it was the right combination of not being too large, but also large enough. You had the idea of saying it needed to store at least 2 helmets and a few other things, right?
Yeah, definitely. So, I mean, it was kind of like, I remember we were sitting in Dean's garage and we were, fitting the styrofoam things. And it was like that moment, like in that Vin Diesel movie, like Triple X, where he's got that GTO and he's like, I want you to fit all this stuff in here. And that's kind of like, I think I actually said that, like, it was just one of those, the storage solution needed to make sense for some things. So it was just a really, really cool process. It was a very cool process to see.
Yeah, it's super fun to work with you. Dean, I know you have a fleet of UTVs. Do you have any ATVs as well? Do you have a Sportsman?
He's got a Can-Am, right?
Can-Am, maybe that's what it is. Yeah.
Yeah. I got the Can-Am Outlander 1000. I do have a kind of an old school project I've been working on. It's a 1986 Trail Boss 250. And it's going to be, I'm trying to get it back to factory original condition. I don't know if that's really something that we're going to try to pursue, a custom box for. But it's kind of cool. I'm kind of getting back into the vintage riding, and getting some of this old iron back out. And so I got a couple of little class 1 ATVs at the house too. So, but for hauling the family around, had to get the big dog. So
I love it. Well, we were just doing an episode with the lead of the UTV Utah community. His name is Bud Bruning, and he was reflecting on moving from an ATV to a side-by-side or a UTV for the first time and what that was like. So you're actually going backwards a little bit, going back to the handlebars. But do you remember, Dean, what your first UTV was and what it was like to go from handlebar to steering wheel and just the whole experience?
Yeah, so I still actually have my first UTV, my 2018 Razor, the 4-seater, and it was kind of like, you make that transition, and you're kind of opened up to what feels like a whole new world. It's like, oh man, this is awesome, and and it's fun and it's great and I love it. But there's as Ben can tell you too, there's just something about being able to get on a class 1 or single-seater 4-wheeler and just going, just going out riding and not having the big UTV. So it's definitely, it's good to have your options open, but there's just something about riding the class ones with the handlebars that, you still got to get your fix in every once in a while.
Yeah, Ben. So same question for you. Do you remember going from handlebar to steering wheel, and do you still enjoy? I suppose it's just different on either side of it, right?
So I went from handlebar to steering wheel, back down to handlebar.
You did
recently.
You did.
Yeah, this last season, I went from Arctic Cat 2 Up, which I still have. I still have my very first ATV, and I use it all the time. And then I added to my fleet. I got a Razor 900. And then I jumped up to the Razor XP 1000. And then I got rid of that, and then I put myself into the Polaris 852 Up. So I put 3,000 miles on the XP 1000, and then I just, was out riding one day and was like, I really miss being out on the class 1. And so I decided to go back to the handlebars.
And then how long will it be now until you're back with the steering wheel then?
I don't know, till my hips hurt, my back hurt.
Next week.
next week, just kind of. It's funny. You find yourself online looking at them.
Yep.
Like it's like you're just like, So yeah, we'll see.
So if somebody could drive up to your door right now and give you a vehicle for free, either ATV or UTV, what would be top on your wish list that you don't currently have in your fleet?
Razor XP 1000 4-seater.
Nice.
And here's the reason why.
Oh yeah, tell us more.
So, Dean's got, we kind of affectionately call his XP 1000 the bus, because it's big and it hauls kids around. And the one thing that I've learned doing through this whole process, like the one thing I, have learned about being a part of this community and everything like that, somebody always wants to go. There's always somebody who's never been riding before that wants to go. And when I got my 2-seater, my wife was like, you should get the 4. We should just get the 4. And I'm like, we're never going to need the 4. And every single time we went out, it was like, we should have gotten the 4-seater.
So Dean, same question for you. Yeah. If somebody could just deliver some machine to your door, what would it be?
Well, currently, if it was today, I would have to go with the General XP 1000, 4-seater, of course.
Sure.
But that would be the one that if I could pick one right now, that would be it. Now you asked me this question in 2 weeks after they unveil the new Polaris Expedition, and my opinion might change. But that new General, the General XP 1000 is kind of the one that I'm really gearing towards, and especially now with the new storage box that you guys made for it. Oh man, that thing that's the ultimate. Like, you can pack everything you want, whether it's for a day or whether it's for a week. You just get in that thing and you just go.
Yeah, and what the response we have seen to that box cover. So
yeah, it's been crazy. We finally started shipping them late last week, Kevin, I think. But you got, it was just fun to see the demand and the feedback initially, because I think we had over 50 on pre-sale. We didn't even let that many people know about it, but just the need. And you're right, Dean, that General is such a great blend of a workhorse with a bit of performance, and just load that sucker up.
Yeah. Just take it out, and you can do whatever. You can put the chainsaw in the back right next to the cooler, because you could, you could go out for an adventure ride and just go out and scoot on the trails and just have fun, or you can take the exact same machine and go right to work with it too. So I think it's a good mix.
One question I've been wondering about is in anticipation of talking to you guys is Star Tribune ran a couple of weeks ago an article about just Polaris's the electronic. The electric machines.
Yeah, thought the same thing.
I don't remember what they're calling them, but anyway, I just was curious if you look back at the last couple of years, or even just comparing last year to what you're expecting maybe to see this year. What percentage of the vehicles that are out are electric, that are joining you on these rides? I'm expecting that it would be very low, but at the same time, I just don't know how saturated the market is with different. I know that there's a few others that I've learned about, but I'm just curious to know what you're seeing out there actually by the consumers that are driving these things.
Yeah, me too.
I have never been on a ride with an electric machine.
You have never been on a ride with an electric one. Okay, interesting. Dean, have you?
No, and I'm in the same boat. I haven't seen one yet. So, but with that being said, I know that there was they were just like everything else when they kind of unveiled them, they were kind of behind the eight ball with supply chain issues and delays on receiving stuff. So I know not a lot of them have hit the ground yet, but it'll definitely be interesting to see because, take it or leave it, they've got their purpose.
Sure.
I mean, for somebody who's like my neighbor, for instance, he's got a Ranger and he's got road tires on it, and I would be surprised. I'd be surprised if he goes more than 20 miles in one shot, and that would be a perfect scenario for him, But I think as they evolve and the real world conditions start to come out, and they're going to build them better and better and better, and it won't be too long. Just like Teslas, you used to see one every couple of months, and now they seem to be everywhere.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a good example. I'm curious. I'm glad you brought this up, Kevin, because I can definitely see using it for a utilitarian purpose, like for a Ranger. But I'm curious. I mean, the Tesla is known to have that performance factor too, with the acceleration and the power and everything. Has there been any initial feedback about performance level electric vehicles? Do they perform as well as gas, diesel, whatever it is?
So I haven't seen too much on that Ranger, but if you do get some time, there's a guy, and I believe he's over in Oregon, that put a Tesla battery, Tesla engines in an RS1.
Of course he did, because why wouldn't you?
Yeah, and it's just insane.
And what kind of machine did he put the engine in?
Imagine.
He put it in a Polaris RS1, so
oh my gosh.
the 64-inch wide single-seater,
Love it.
From the videos I've seen, the thing's like a rocket ship.
Oh, man.
Oh, that is absolutely brilliant. I love that. So for the next couple of months, how often do you think you'll be riding? Now, let's start with you, Ben. You're talking about coming out of the cocoon a little bit. Like, does the riding time start Friday afternoon and doesn't end until Sunday? Or what does your week look like now that the sun's coming out?
So, like, week is like work. Then it's like, Thursday, talk to Dean, and then figure out where we're riding. And then, like Saturday, meet up, ride, and then Sunday, wash the machine. Like, just rinse, wash, repeat. Pretty much you can, every weekend until the end of the summer. Typically, that's kind of how it was, with the everything else, our riding dropped off a little bit. But for a time, that was it. That was like, we were riding, it's just, there's a ride every weekend. You can ride, there's an event every weekend. So that's kind of the plan.
And quantify.
Yeah, and when Ben says wash, he means wash. Like, he gets out the toothbrush, and every little nook and cranny gets scrubbed. And
it's like showroom when I'm done. Like, that's part of the thing, is like, that's just part of my ritual. Like, Sunday, it's like, you spend time with the family or whatever. No, I got to wash the machine. So,
Do you do it with the same painstaking care that you're painting these Warhammer figures? Because it's epic. They're amazing.
I probably more time on the machine. Wow. So it's a process. I could write you out the process, but I think the process for launching people into space is actually shorter. So
That's so great.
I was going to ask. Quantify the when you look at the season that we are coming into for riding. At the end of the season, you will have put how many miles on your machine? That's a great question.
Well, I don't know. We kind of average, I don't know. I average anywhere between 1,000 and 1,500, and then Dean will double that or more.
Amazing.
Wow. That's great.
Yeah, well, I got the Ranger last June, and late June, early July. I think I just broke 2,800 on it. So
amazing.
We'll probably tickle about 3,000 miles this year.
Yeah. That's have you guys ever we again, we're just talking with the Utah people, and I don't know a ton about Moab. Have you ever done the Moab events out there? I know they're huge, and they're almost like they described it as a Mecca level pilgrimage kind of thing. Have you been out to Moab?
So I have never been to Moab.
So neither of you two have been there.
No, but we've been close. We made it out to Silverton, Colorado. It's about 3 hours from Moab, but
yeah, we've never been able. That's on the list. Like Dean and I call it windshield time. Like we get together and we start talking, and we come up with like all these massive ideas. I mean, we could fill a notebook with like all the stuff that Dean and I want to do, and then I mean, it would just keep us indefinitely busy. I mean, you could dive into the notebook at any one time, and I'm sure the Moab trip is in there. Like it's in there a couple of times. So I'm sure it's on a list.
That's awesome. Well, so you've got this, you said 2 weeks, you kick off the season. And then what is one of the holidays is Memorial Day, Labor Day, 4th of July. What's one of the major holidays that you've got another big event planned around? Or all of them?
Yeah, right.
I think Memorial Day. Oh, go ahead, Dean.
So Memorial is always a big one for us. Our trails just get opened up, so that'll be a busy weekend. And then, 4th of July weekend, we usually get pretty busy, especially it'll be this year because the 4th is, on a Tuesday. So I think it's on a Tuesday, but nevertheless, so we'll get some riding in for sure on the holiday weekends. And our big event is coming up the weekend before the 4th up in Silver Bay in June, the last week in June, and that's going to be our big primetime event. When we kind of pull all the hats or all the tricks out of the hat for that one. So after that, then it's just we kind of just attend other group rides that local clubs are having or different organizations are having, and just kind of, it's a little funner that way because we can just kind of kick back and just go for a ride.
Yeah, for sure. So, well, it's always great to talk to you guys. Like, when we know we'll keep doing this on a monthly cadence with you if you guys are game for it. But before we let you run today, I'm just sort of curious. I'm a golfer, and the golf courses have opened the last couple of weeks, and I've actually noticed that there's not quite as many people out on the golf course as there has been these last 3 years when COVID shut down so many different opportunities for whether it's restaurant or going to concerts or movies or whatever it is. Everybody's suddenly decided they were a golfer. And I think the off-road community really benefited from people wanting to be outdoors too. Do you have any sort of initial read on whether it's going to keep growing at the rate that it has been during COVID? Or are people staying with it that maybe got introduced to it the last couple of years? Or what's your take so far?
So it's kind of an interesting one because, as our registration numbers keep growing.
Amazing.
We're up to, in the state of Minnesota, we're up to just shy of 350,000 registered ATVs, which is a pretty substantial number.
It is.
And but inventory at dealerships seems to be increasing as well. So I don't know if we're getting as many new people into the sport, or maybe just everybody's already bought their machines and they just gotta accessorize them. But it's definitely, like you said, I think all outdoor recreation is, since COVID, has just exploded.
Yeah.
Or they're a single person with 8 vehicles.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
I don't know if you know any of those kind of people, Dean.
I might know a couple.
Yeah. Well, I think there's a durable change, though. Once you get used to being in the outdoors, I think it's pretty tough to not want to be in it. COVID was so devastating globally on so many levels, obviously, but one of the silver linings is just getting back outdoors and in touch with stuff. Ben, I know that just has been a huge deal for you too.
Oh yeah. Yep. It's just I'm just I'm glad we're moving on, and I'm glad riding season is here.
Yeah, indeed.
Glad riding season is here. Big time. Super excited.
Well, man, fire up the camera or GoPro or whatever you have for a couple weeks from now when we have you get down to Moto to fit you out with that Sportsman box. I can't wait to have you down.
Yeah, I'm really, really excited. I'll bring the machine down, and I'll make sure that it goes in the cleanest space in your facility.
We'll disinfect the entire warehouse just for you, Ben.
Oh, I'm stoked. It's going to be awesome.
Well, it's great to talk to you guys. I know that we'll hit you up here and again in a couple of weeks, and maybe just right after Memorial Day, we'll do some reflections on the Memorial Day riding and get some of the pictures of the box, all that kind of stuff, if you guys are game for it.
We're really excited. Thank you for having us.
Yeah, thanks, Dean.
Super excited.
Absolutely.
All right. Thanks, gentlemen.
Yeah, love talking to you
We'll
guys.
talk to you later.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
All right, K-Book, Alicia, super fun to have you as part of the MotoAlliance podcast today, too, as well.
Yeah, it's great to be here.
Absolutely. And thanks, everybody, for listening. We'll catch you next time.